Hi everyone, I'm Yuri Galimidi and welcome to part 2 of my podcast on high-performing teams. In part 1, I told you how I was completely blind to the toxic relationship dynamics of my team leads and how this almost resulted in a complete and dismal failure of our project. In part 2, I will share with you a concept called psychological safety as a tool for building a high-performing team. Before we dive into the details, I have to give credit to the work that Google's People Analytics team did on their project Aristotle in researching what makes high-performing teams and how to build them. If you're interested to learn more about this, I encourage you to go to the website on this slide and read all about Google's work on how to build high-performing teams. The person that established the concept of psychological safety is Professor Amy Edmondson of Harvard Business School. She was named as the 7th most influential person in HR today. And most of her work she did in hospitals, observing teams in the operating theater, as well as teams of doctors and nurses in the various wards of the hospital. In this particular photo on the screen, you see a team performing a surgery on a patient, and I wanted to pay special attention to the nurse on the very far left of the photo. They call this nurse the circulating nurse, and her responsibility is to handle everything in the room that is not sterile, such as operating different equipment that's not sterile, as well as calling some staff members when needed, and so on. On this particular surgery, the head surgeon was in the process of stitching up the patient right at the end of a very complex and long surgery. And as he was doing so, the circulating nurse observed that he is forgetting a piece of gauze right inside the body of the patient being stitched up. And so she said, "Doctor, I think that you..." And the head surgeon lifted his head, looked her right straight in the eyes and said to her, "I'm not paying you to think. When I need your opinion, I'll ask for it. And now leave my operating theater immediately." Ashamed and embarrassed and hurt, the nurse left the room. The head surgeon proceeded to stitch up the patient, and naturally 2 weeks later the patient showed up again in the hospital with a severe infection inside of their abdomen. The surgery team had to open her up again, where they saw the piece of gauze that they forgot in the first surgery. They closed her up again, gave her a lot of antibiotics, and after a couple of weeks the patient thankfully was okay again. Professor Edmondson contrasts this particular team here with another team where the head surgeon at the end of each complex surgery will gather the team in a conference room and will start going around the room asking for each member of the team for what they could have done better in that particular surgery, what they could improve on, how they can make the surgery of a better quality and higher level of safety. And when Professor Edmondson looked at the outcomes of hospitals with what she would call more toxic team relationships compared to the more open and trusting and inviting and safe team relationship, she observed that the latter kind of team always performed much better than the teams when the relationship was one of mistrust and arrogance and basically a toxic relationship. And so, after observing for several years the behavior of different teams, Professor Edmondson concluded that teams which have higher psychological safety would always perform much better than the other teams. And so she defined what constitutes psychological safety in a team, and that is a team where team members feel that they have an equal voice, that they are free to express contrarian opinions, opinions which do not necessarily agree with the opinion of everybody else, especially not the opinions of the boss, where team members are not afraid of being ignored or humiliated, where team members demonstrate emotional sensitivity to the state of all other team members, when team members and especially the team leads are not afraid to admit that they do not know something or when they make mistakes. All of that are attributes of teams where psychological safety is practiced. So here is what you should do if you want to establish psychological safety as a foundation for your high-performing team. Number one, and most important, you should train your team leaders as well as team members in developing their awareness of psychological safety, their awareness of the well-being of all their team members, so that team members feel safe and respected for who they are. Number two, assign team coaches that can observe the relationship dynamics of the team and provide feedback to the team so that the team can become again more sensitive and aware and improve the relationship dynamics within the team. Number three, assess the psychological safety of the team. And that should be done right at the outset and as well as, let's say, every 3 months thereafter until you achieve your desired level of psychological safety. In the link below, I provide an assessment tool for psychological safety that you can use. And once we get feedback from an increasing number of teams, I shall provide you with an average assessment of where your team stands compared to all the other teams that have taken the assessment. Number four is discuss the results with the team. Discuss with them what psychological safety means to them and how they feel about the level of psychological safety within the team. Number five is quite a novel concept. Typically, we assess performance of individuals and we store that in the HR files of individuals. Here, the concept is that we assess the performance of the team as a team and we publish that, the result of that assessment to the entire organization. So the teams could observe and see their own performance compared to other teams within the organization. And then we share these results with everyone within our team and other teams, and we discuss what it is we can do to improve the overall performance of our team and every other team within the organization. In summary, I want to emphasize 2 points regarding psychological safety. Number one, it is probably the most powerful tool or concept for building high-performing teams. And number two is the more you can get the support and buy-in of your senior executives within the organization of the concept of psychological safety, the better the outcomes will be of the implementation of this concept within the entire organization. I would like to invite you all to please contact me with any thoughts and comments about this post and topics you would like me to share in future posts. Our next post will be exploring the concept of diversity and inclusion. And also I would like to invite you to contact me if you are at a career crossroads or if you are not being recognized for your full career potential, to have a free introductory coaching call with me. Until the next post, take care and try to be the best leader you can possibly be.